Hello guys, and welcome to my channel. Today I am going to be showing you my Serenity work vlog. So this is going to be the bodice and the sleeves. I will be linking the skirt and the bow in another video, and then I'll do a video on how I did my wig as well. So here it is. So first thing that I did is I actually created a bustier first, but I couldn't get it to be tight enough without the fear of it sliding down. So then I just kind of made it into like this tube top. So I just took some stretch fabric that I had lying around, and then I kind of just, fit it around me as tight as possible, and then like sewed it together. So then I have this little pin telling me where the top part, or where I wanted it to end actually, but that totally went out the window. So then I took this denim and then I fitted it right underneath my chest, since I knew that's where the majority of the beads were gonna go, and I sewed it down onto top of that. The denim is just acting as a support because I'm adding a bunch of beads to that center part of her dress, and I wanted something that was flexible but stable enough to hold them together and allow it to stay. And then this is what it looks like when you sew on the satin and the lace. This is just what I wanted again. So yeah, zipper is now connected at the end of the bodice, and that's because I knew I was going to be adding beads right there, and I wanted it have like a little bit of space so I didn't have to keep hitting and touching the beads. So then you're gonna be cutting out circles. Mine are 2-inch circles if I remember correctly. So you're gonna cut out the denim and then the satin. Satin should be a little bit bigger than the denim, just so you have a little bit room of adjustment. Alright, and so this is what they look like when they're all pinned down. I just kept pinning them down so I knew how much I made, and I made 11. There's one end that is sticking off to the end, and I liked it like that because it connected with the last circle, so you couldn't see the zipper portion of it. And so this is what it looks like. This first one is what the satin looks like, and I kind of sewed it wrong. So what you want to do is sew it across the denim part, straight across where the top of it meets the bodice part, and then you want to sew on the satin around it. And then this is adding all the beads. This took about 30 plus hours of putting on all the beads all together. So I just used E6000, and I used a pair of jewelry pliers to put on the beads. I kind of mixed it up with my hands, and the beads I ended up using, I think these are 3mm size ones for the circle part, and I used 5 and 6, I want to say, for 5 and 8 for the white and the other gold ones. As you can see, you just keep going around in a circle. It takes forever and ever. Just know that if you are adding on beads like I did by hand, this is going to take a long time. And here's what they look all somewhat completed, as the outer circles are all done. I kind of deviated a little bit from the original design of Princess Serenity, since I was combining 3 different looks. So mine's a little bit different. And then in this one you don't see, but I did end up adding a white line of beads on the very end of it as well. And then the sleeve portion, so I just used some craft foam, and I cut it out to the size I wanted it to fit on my sleeve, and then I just kind of glued on some cotton balls to add up the height of it. You can use polyfill, you can use whatever you really want to build it up, as long as you build it up. And then as you can see, I'm using a lightweight interfacing to sew on top of it. And I only sewed on 4 corners of it, so I could have these little pockets that I could slide in more cotton balls if I didn't like how flat it ended up looking. And then this is me adding on the satin portion of it. It's a lot of like just adjusting into the right size, the right height, to how you see fit you want it to look. It just takes a lot of time. So now, as you can see, I'm adding in more like cotton balls to add up the height. And I'm just kind of going around in circles. And then I just keep adjusting the satin until there's like barely any like creases. And I think there's one crease altogether in each section, just because that's the way the satin ended up being flat. And then you have to hand sew this whole thing basically. So this is what it looks like. I just hand sewed the edges and whatnot. This is actually a bad one. I need to redo this one. As you can see, this one has 2 creases altogether. So then I'm taking some clear elastic and I'm just stretching that. So what you're going to do is you're going to add two clear elastic bands to your two little circle sleeve portions, and you want a smaller one in the front, and that's where your big little doohickey thing, I don't know, arrow sleeve portion comes down, and then you have a bigger one in the back, and that is where you have nothing covering it. And like I said, you have to pretty much hand sew this whole entire thing, so you just gotta keep taking the time and just kind of sew them together. And here is what it looks like when it's completed. Not completed, but sewed together. As you can see, there's a stretch in the front and in the back. And this is the little doohickey thingy, I don't know what to call it. I used the heavyweight interfacing and just kind of sewed it and adjusted it out to the correct fit and whatnot. I just added on satin to it, and then I sewed one side of the satin together, so it's like a sandwich. It was sandwiched in, as you can see. And here what it is. This is before I sew it all the way down. But yeah, you gotta have to pretty much sew it from the inside to the outer portion of it as well. And like the complete idiot, I forgot to film the rest of the sleeves. So like, the rest of the sleeve is actually fairly simple. You just take some craft foam, and then you use rubber cement, and then you just kind of glue on the fabric. While it's still wet, you want to be able to adjust it so it kind of flips a little bit upwards. And this is because you don't want to sew it down, because if it's sewed down, you can't adjust it, the craft foam, to get into the position that you really want it to be. Unlike when you glue it, it's still mountable and allows you to adjust it. And then I just use hot glue to glue those sections into the inner part of the sleeves, and then I just beaded it. I just kind of went over it and just did the exact same thing, used E3000 and added on each of the beads. You want to add on the beads on the outer section, the swirls, first if you're going to bead it like I did, just so before you like add on like the 2 extra little arrows doohickey things, just because it's easier to see where you're going and whatnot. And that's pretty much it for the bodice and the sleeves. I will be posting the skirt and the bow section next, so look out for that. And then I'll be posting a showcase video at some point.